Hello and welcome back. This is the Agent Workforce podcast. My name is Kristiina Åberg. I lead marketing at Digital Workforce, and with me we have Niko Lehtonen, who is the AI solution architect at Digital Workforce.
Hello.
Hi. Yes. Hello. In today's episode, we'll talk about RPA versus agents, MCP, and some model updates, to mention a few topics. It's been 2 weeks, Niko, since we last recorded our episode. Feels like a lifetime again. A load has happened. But let's start off with the hackathon, because you were in Stockholm last time we spoke. And how did that go? What did you guys do over there?
Yeah. It actually went. It was quite nice. It was held by Health Data Sweden. It's this organization that brings together different healthcare providers and regions in Sweden, and the point is to sort of come up with ways of transforming healthcare. And there were lots of different topics different groups were handling within the hackathon. For instance, in my group, a lot of the people were focusing on building integrations between different systems that had not been integrated before. But my side was more about home care and so on. And well, basically, a patient can have multiple ongoing care plans. They can have one for diabetes, one for home care, one for cancer, and so on. And usually, the older you get, the more of these you have on top of each other. And these tend to exist in multiple systems. So the care staff have no visibility to the other care plans. And this all leads to the fact that the more care plans you have, the more likely it is for there to be clashes between the scheduled items. And as the patient is usually a bit older, they are very often oblivious to these clashes, which leads to booked meetings being missed because the patient can't be in two places simultaneously. And of course, that will waste precious healthcare staff time. And with the resources already running thin all across the world with healthcare staff, if you miss these appointments, it's time wasted for everyone involved. And well, this was held in Sweden, as mentioned, and Sweden has a population of about 10 million. It was estimated that these inefficiencies due to these booking clashes can cost up to €1 billion per year. And if we consider that the population of Europe is over 700 million and the US is over 300 million, just imagine how much time, money, and effort is then wasted overall due to situations like this. I mean, it's potentially in the trillions. So in the hackathon, my task was to create a solution for this. In this case, first, the care plans were all stored in a single database. So they were pulled from the systems and stored in a database. And from there, they could be picked up via an API by our agent. And then the agent put all the items in a chronological order and flagged any meaningful clashes between any care plan items. So if a lunch was clashing with a blood pressure measurement, that's not a meaningful clash because the lunch can be moved around. And finally, the agent formatted all of this as an HTML, CSS data table, which could then be presented to a user on a web page. So they could easily, visibly see if there are any clashes and so on. And as this was a hackathon just going on for a couple of days, there wasn't time to do everything, of course. I mean, you could do lots of things with this, make it a bit more automatic and so on. But the point was to show that there is a way of solving these things. And how quick is it to do with AI? One LLM call, it took maybe 2 or 3 minutes to process it because there was a lot of data pushed to OpenAI's O3 Mini. But it worked beautifully once you got the prompting laid down. I made the template, the HTML template for it, gave it as a context, and yeah, worked really nicely.
Was AI in every single group task, or how was it?
I know that one group was using Lovable, which we've discussed here as well.
Yeah.
They made a mock-up website for a sort of marketplace, I think. I didn't see all of the presentations because I was time constrained, unfortunately, but there were some very interesting things. And I think all the presentations were recorded, and I'm going to have to take a look afterwards just to see what kind of things there were.
That's nice.
And the one thing that we would have done had we had more time was also to incorporate RPA into this. For instance, when a patient is in a hospital, and we know this because we have all the care plan items, if a patient is in a hospital, then their food delivery services, pharmaceutical delivery services should be put on hold for that period of time. And usually these things are done by filling up forms on the service provider's websites and so on. So RPA would have done that when triggered by an agent.
So you refer to a patient who's in a home care
Yeah.
setting and then hospitalized, and then all the recurring services would be paused with this trigger to be paused
Exactly.
during the hospital. Okay, got it. Got
Exactly.
it.
That's another waste
Of
of
course.
time, effort, and resources because the patient is in a hospital. They're not going to do anything with their food at that point. So yeah, that was pretty much the hackathon topic for me. Lots of interesting things. There are lots of different companies involved. Yeah, I think AI has a clear future in healthcare.
That we know for sure. You talked about RPA and AI agents, and we actually got a question in one of the episodes on YouTube, and the person is asking that or commenting that in the video, you shortly talked about the joint use of AI agents and RPA because the LLM agents are not yet completely reliable. In my opinion, this is currently the most interesting question about AI agents, whether enough use cases can be found for AI agents on their own or together with RPA. It would be interesting to open up this situation because you brought that up. Can you elaborate a little bit on this? What is the current status between RPA and AI agents? How do we see this as being professionals in this space?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I wouldn't say that LLM-based AI agents are not yet completely reliable. They do have their limitations, and one limitation is that they don't do, at this point, very well with navigating through user interfaces, which is RPA's core capability. So I would say that that's where RPA started, so that you can automate processes where you need to use the user interfaces of the systems because no APIs are available. So it makes perfect sense to use RPA for that. Agents can, if they need to do something in these systems, basically you need to have RPA automations built that the agent can then trigger. And usually, like us, we do it by using our process orchestration softwares to make sure that the ball doesn't drop at any point and so on and so on. It's easier to retry things, alert users to do manually stuff if needed, and so on. But going forward, if you have a business process where you need to automate things and there are APIs involved, you might not want to use RPA for those API uses anymore. You might want to think of a smarter solution, for instance, an agent to handle that stuff. Of course, it depends a lot on the actual tasks, but hopefully it will have some sort of data structuring involved as well, which will already make you need to use an LLM. And if you need to use an LLM and APIs, you're going to want to use an AI agent because it combines both. In existing automations, if you have RPA automations that are using APIs, it's very likely that you don't need to start replacing them with agents because you have already a solution that works. But if you have some very heavy and cumbersome automations, it might be that you actually get more out of them and make them easier to maintain by applying agents into that process. And to continue on that, actually, one thing that's been discussed much in the recent days, weeks, and even months is model context protocol, which is a sort of interface built for to be between agents and APIs.
Mm.
And this is something that is going to become more and more commonplace. Microsoft already has a bunch of connectors built that are MCP supported, MCP integrated. And basically, as Microsoft puts it, Model Context Protocol enables makers to connect to existing knowledge servers and APIs directly from their systems, like Copilot Studio, if you're building, your personal agents. And when connecting to an MCP server, actions and knowledge are automatically added to the agent and updated as functionality evolves. So basically, the information about the APIs is given as extra context to the agent when it's reaching out to an MCP integrated connector. And this simplifies the process of building agents and reduces the time spent maintaining the agents. Because when the APIs update, the MCP updates. And when the agent uses MCP again to reach that endpoint, it gets the new documentation as a context. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the non-technical listeners in the podcast, so MCP Model Context Protocol, as Niko said, is originally launched by Anthropic in November 2024. Anthropic is the company behind Claude, so they came up with and announced this MCP protocol, and it has had a lot of support lately. So OpenAI SDK for agents is supporting MCP. Microsoft is supporting. Sundar Pichai, who's the CEO of Google, yesterday on X wrote that whether to MCP or not MCP. So that's the big question. So it's definitely getting a lot of support from all the leading AI labs in the world. So it's definitely an acronym that everybody should understand to an extent, because it is likely going to affect a lot of the agentic development and agentic workflows going forward. So the way I want to kind of try to understand what is MCP all about, it could be one useful explanation was that imagine that your computer programs all speak different languages, making it difficult for them to work together. So Model Context Protocol is like creating a common language that allows all different AI models and other software to easily understand and work with each other. So that's the protocol all about. So before MCP, if an AI wanted to use a specific tool, because we all know that LLMs as standalone are not by far as useful as they are when you connect them to different tools. But like previously, connecting these two into specific tools, like sending an email or checking a calendar, developers had to build a special connection for each tool. So this was complicated and time-consuming, whereas MCP provides a standard set of rules how AI can find, connect to, and use these external tools, data, and services in a general way. So it seems to simplify a lot of things and make things more straightforward, and definitely a lot of support now from the community towards MCP. I'm sure that we'll hear a lot more about MCP in the context of AI agents going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to seeing just how quickly this will, start escalating. So right now, I'm guessing not many APIs are MCP integrated. Let's see what the situation is 6 months or 12 months. Even smaller services might have this done by that.
Yes. Yeah. So do pay attention to MCP going forward as well. So load has happened also in the model front. Frontier models have announced new updates. Anthropic's Claude got the internet search finally. It was quite odd that it didn't actually have the browsing capability internet search. It's currently only available in the US, so we need to wait a little longer here in Europe again to test that. But that's something that was announced. DeepSeek had a new model coming up, but I guess all the space has gone into OpenAI going entirely viral with their Studio Ghibli styled images all over. So they have this like image feature, which is totally changing the game, I would say. So it has got a lot of widespread attention and also raising questions about like copyrights and artistic integrity. So this Studio Ghibli styled images referred to a Japanese animation studio, and they have very distinctive style of doing animations, and even Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, has put his X image as the Studio Ghibli styled image of himself, and you can easily create these now going to OpenAI's ChatGPT 4.0, and the image generation capabilities are entirely inbuilt there. But a lot of questions there obviously, this will have huge implications to creative work as well, or all kinds of work. Because I brought up the example of playing around with an image from our living room yesterday. That was with Google's, not yesterday, but in the previous episode. Sorry. So I shared the example that I have an image of our living room, and I asked the model to remove all the furniture and redesign the interiors. And now with the Google's, not just Google model, but OpenAI model, you can easily do this and test this yourself. And it is just creating the image while you wait there. It's kind of this blurred curtain that's going down and down and down. And from like professional perspective, there are a lot of use cases that you can already use this for. But also it's good to keep in mind that if you put, for instance, a photo there, it's not going to come out exactly the same. The face will change a bit. The positions may change a bit. So it's not going to be exactly the same. So you can go and test that. So you can't really use this for, as it is of now, that you'll add like a corporate photo and add an element there and expect that all the faces will the same, because that's not going to happen as it is in the current model. But anyway, very, very useful for like e-commerce type of products and a lot of variations very quickly. So we'll definitely change creative workflows. Have you tried that, Niko?
I haven't tried it yet. I do have a couple
No.
of ideas that I might go for, but I did see this sort of compilation of famous images that were put through that with just the Studio Ghibli style filter. And my favorite was there's a very, very famous picture of nightlife in Manchester where people are, let's say they've had a good night out and it's about 5 a.m. in the morning. And I saw the Studio Ghibli version of that and it was very funny. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like OpenAI yesterday announced that they are going for new funding, which is 40 billion funding at a 300 billion post money valuation level, which is just unbelievable. And in the same release, they said that they have 500 million people who use ChatGPT every week. So that's up 1 million since we last covered this, maybe a month ago or so. And Sam Altman wrote on X yesterday that they added 1 million users in 1 hour this yesterday. So this is a huge, huge viral momentum now ongoing with this image generation capabilities. And also important to notice here that they are not that they're releasing a bit of the guardrails, I suppose, OpenAI as well. So you can do a lot of images that were restricted previously. So you can ask it to create an image of a famous person. And I guess they need to, they have mentioned this publicly as well, that they will give more responsibility to users in that sense, how and where to use this tool. So that's an interesting new twist, I would say.
Yeah, I think we all know the reasons, but we don't need to get into that, I suppose. Um, but yeah, I saw some images of war pictures, for instance, that previously would not have been going through those filters. But yeah, um, on the model front, I wanted to talk about DeepResearch just a bit more. We've been using it extensively here at our company. And what's actually quite interesting is that you cannot use that via API unless you use Perplexity. They're the only one who have enabled DeepResearch via API. The others haven't, and I'm guessing it's because it would get too expensive for the providers. And we saw a similar thing actually with OpenAI now that they restricted the image generation for free users. There used to be a lot more generations per day, and now they're restricted it into 3, I think. So yeah, we'll see.
The GPUs are melting. That's what Sam Altman said as well. So that's like endless demand that people have for this type of requests.
Yeah.
Consider that it's just the amount of GPUs they need to. Yeah, and even I got hit a limit yesterday. That was on my Plus account. I also have the Pro account. I should look into a way to combine those two. But anyway, I do have both. So on my Plus account, I got a notification that we can't just create your image just now, wait for a second or a minute or whatever it was. And that was a little bit annoying. I said, hey, I'm paying for this service. So, but yeah, it's very GPU intense for sure.
Yeah. And nobody remembers GPT 4.5 anymore.
Yeah, that as well. Yeah. So that's things do happen fast. Also, Google Gemini got an update 2.5 on March 26th, which is an experimental version of 2.5 Pro. And it is, in fact, state of the art again. If you go and check LM Arena, it's the top model there. It's available on Google AI Studio and also in the Gemini app for Gemini advanced users. So there's a very nice canvas feature that I have been testing. So I've been, just for fun, I asked it to create like was a project management, simplified project management tool for a small agency. And with a pretty simplified prompt, I could get a decent MVP. And that was there just ahead of, in front of me, on the screen. So that was quite and also a website. I tried to do a website with it, just a mock-up. It's a mock-up of a website, but I took my LinkedIn profile, inserted that as a PDF. I took a picture of myself and I asked it to create like this professional styled personal website. And that's what it did. So yeah, that was quite amazing. It also has the long context window with 1 million token context window. The longest, I suppose, they say it's going to be 2 million coming up soon. So with regards to this short-term memory in these models and what kind of data you can actually put into the short-term memory of the models, you won't have that much data that you can actually, insert into the model. So that's quite amazing. So yeah, a lot of advancements we've seen lately and will continue to see this year for sure in language, vision, voice, memory, reasoning, decisioning, and actions. And we'll see where this all leads us in the coming months and so on. Okay. Did you have anything else to share this time, Niko?
I think I'm good. Looking forward to what happens in the next 5 days or so. World's going to change again.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, but I think that's all for now. If you haven't done so yet, you can go on to our agentacademy.ai website where we have 2 courses. One is free of charge. That's Understanding Agentic AI, a really good basic course about agentic AI, and probably over 700 people have already taken the course, something along those numbers, which is fantastic. And a lot of people are also taking the analyst course, which is the paid course. And hopefully in the upcoming episodes, we can give a sneak peek into the developer course that you're working on, Niko, as we speak. So that's something that we're all looking forward to. So that's it.
Absolutely. And if any of you are wondering if agents could be helping you in your business, feel free to be in touch. We can help you out there.
Yes, we can. Thank you so much. Thank you, Niko. Thanks again. Thanks all. Have a great week ahead. Thanks.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bye.